Hey friends, you are crafting with Kim Byers at the Celebration Shop, and today we are sublimating again. So today we're going to make phone cases, and I've had several of you ask if you can use sublimation with photographs. So I am going to be using today a photograph of my boys on one of the phone cases, and I'm going to do a monogram on the other phone case. So we are going to hop over to my craft table. I'm going to show you all the things that we're working with, and if you have not done sublimation yet, I'm going to put a video up above that kind of explains how to get started. But basically what you're doing is you are printing a design and then you are applying it with heat. Okay, so today we're going to be using my converted Epson printer, and then we are also going to be using my EasyPress for the heat. Okay, so let's hop over, let me show you what it's all about, and we'll sublimate some phone cases. Let's go. Okay, so here we are on my craft table, and these are the things that we're going to be using today. So I have my phone case, and it is a two-piece. So basically you have the case, and then this is the item that we're going to be sublimating on. And then I have a clear ruler, my sublimation paper, I have a lint roller, some butcher paper. This is my Cricut mat and my EasyPress. We're going to be using my EasyPress for the heat element today. It does get up to 400 degrees. All the EasyPress 2s get up to 400 degrees, and that's what we need. And then I have my paper trimmer. So let's move everything out of the way. We'll go ahead and measure our phone case and get started. Okay, and so the first thing we want to do is we want to take our phone case, and this element here is metal, so we're actually going to be applying heat to metal. And again, you have to make sure that you're getting a sublimation phone case, not just any phone case, but it has to be right for sublimation. It has to have the proper coating on it. But we want roughly 2.5 by 5 1/4. So let's go over to the computer, and I'll take you to canva.com and show you how to create your design. Okay, so here we are. I've opened up canva.com, and so this is a tool that you can use for free. There is a paid version, but what we're doing today you can do for free. And so what we want to do is we want to create a custom phone case. So with Canva you can create all kinds of things, but one of the features that I absolutely love is going up and creating a design right here. And so what we can do is we can go to custom size. So we measured our phone case, and it was roughly 2.5 by 5 1/4. So I am going to add a little bit of a buffer to both of those for what we call bleed. So basically we want to have our ink go outside of the parameters of the actual design, and then that way we know that the design is going to the edge. So I'm going to do 2.65 by 5.35, and we're just going to create a new design. So Canva is great if you want to go to uploads, and then you can upload your own patterns or your own things that you want to work with. But it also has a lot of templates. So for instance, if you wanted to use some of the free templates that were there, you could do that as well. You wanted to take something like this. And so see, whenever you overlay onto it, do you see how it says free at the bottom? So what we're going to be able to do is then pull that onto the design, and you're like, well, I don't want it to say this. Well, of course, you can change each of these elements to say anything you want them to, or say you really just liked the torn effect. So you could, go to the yellow and you could turn it to white, or you could change it. You can change all of these different colors. You can search into templates for, palm trees, and you can pull up, this is gorgeous, right? So that would be a great phone case. That would just be beautiful. And you could put your monogram on that, or put your name on it. And so what I'm going to do today is I really wanted to show you how you could do this exactly. You would be able to, add a pattern to it, one that you either uploaded or one that you found for free in Canva. And then you could add to that. So if we go over to uploads, I had uploaded my monogram. So then you could make that as large or as small as you want it to be. And you could, let's just see, we could bring that down, and put it in the corner, remembering that there is a small bleed, right? And then what you could do if you don't like this, so say you brought that in, and I brought it in as a JPEG, but say you're like, well, I don't want it to be black, I want it to be, some other color. So you can go up into adjust, oh, excuse me, into filter. Nope, effects. I'll get it right in a second. You can go into effects and then go into like duotone, and it's going to pull up a ton of different colors or variations of that design. So see, this one's very similar to the reds and oranges that are in that design. So the other thing that you can do, so let's just add a page. See here, just add a page. And so it's given us that same, background, but I uploaded a few images of my boys. So for those of you that don't know, my guys run cross country, and this past year they were state champions along with their team, of course, and they had a really, really good year. And I'm super proud of them. And they honestly are my inspiration because I run as well and I coach. And they, some days I don't even feel like doing it, right? But they hop right in there and get it all done. And they are really an inspiration to my husband and myself. And so I thought it might be fun to like put their photo on a phone case, my phone case, of course. But you can go into effects and make changes there. You can go into filter and turn it black and white, which I thought was really cool. One thing I have to say is my boys, because they train so much together, they run step for step. So if you see their legs in almost every photo when they are running together, they literally are synchronized, both flat feet, both legs up, and he's even talking. My oldest is even talking to my youngest in this photo. So basically what you could do though is I could bring this down, I could put text above it, I could do just a number of things, and I've already worked with a couple of things and made some designs that I want to show you. So let's go back out to home. But I wanted to show you that you can use photos and you could put them into frames, or you could, oh, here's something really fun. You could go into elements. And so say I have this image and maybe I've made it, smaller like an actual image. Let's just make it a little bit smaller like an actual image. And then you could go over and, grab a piece of tape. You could overlay things onto it is basically what I want to show you, because since we're doing sublimation, you literally can make this anything you want it to be. So you could still, put something down below or an inspirational quote or whatever you wanted to do, because you can go into text and you can add lettering. They even give you, ideas of which text and things that you might want to use. Very cute stuff, guys, very cute. And it's really anything you want, because remember, you're printing this with your sublimation printer, so you don't have to have any of these colors. Okay, so we're back on my home page, and so this is what I have been working on for what we're doing today. So I chose this really cool pattern, and if you notice when I hover over it, it's actually two pieces, and it was duplicated and it wasn't big enough for what I wanted, so I made them smaller. Now you could, grab that one pattern and make it really big, but I wanted to show more detail, so I did it twice. And there's my monogram. So I made that monogram about the same color as my pattern. And then I worked on some things, with my boys' images. I love this, Go the Extra Mile, It's Never Crowded, Matthews 5:41. And then, of course, I put Byers Brothers. I do that a lot of times when I'm yelling for them when they're racing. I, will scream for them both, because since they're together most of the time, it's hard to do, one versus the other. So we call them Byers Boys or Byers Brothers when they're running. And then I did one that was just literally an image of them. And so I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, so I thought I would mock them all up. So I have all three of those. So the next thing that you want to do, once you have the design the way that you want it to be, is you select download, and we are going to make these PNGs. Okay, and I'll tell you why in a second. But basically what we want to do, you can download all three at one time, or you can download them individually. I'm just going to download all three. Okay, so now I have my images and they are right here. And so what I want to do is I want to open those up. I'm actually going to bring them back into Canva as uploads, and I'll show you why in a sec. So you go back into custom design or custom size, and we are going to do an 8.5 by 11. And the reason we're doing that is because I want to maximize my sublimation paper. I want to get as many designs on one sheet of paper as possible so I don't waste anything. I'm all about saving supplies. So now we have this 8.5 by 11, and we would go into uploads. And so those 3 designs that we just downloaded, go to your desktop and hit upload media, and then bring those images back in. And so all 3 of those are right here. Now I'm not going to do it again just because I've already done it, but basically you would click on those and then open, and so that would bring them back in. If we look at my designs or the things that I've already uploaded, so we can grab each one of these, and then what we can do is we can put them on our sheet. Okay, and so the next thing that we want to do is each and every one of these has to be rotated. We need to flip them because when you sublimate, you need the opposite of your image, okay? So we're going to click on each one, flip. Okay, so now everything is backwards, and so when we print it on the paper, it will be backwards, but when we apply heat to it and apply it to our phone case, it is going to be face forward. Okay, so now that we have all this, all you need to do at this point is we need to print. So we're going to go over to download a PNG. We want to make sure that we do not have compressed file on. We want this as high a quality as absolutely possible. And then we're going to select download. Okay, so we open up our design. I'll move this into view. We're going to open up this design, which is a full 8.5 by 11, and then we're just going to print that design onto our Epson printer. Now it pops it up and it shows me what that page is going to look like. If you have options to do things, you know, to make tweaks and things, you can look around. So like default settings. So like for this, we would want to do photo on matte paper. We want it to know that we're printing a photo. So we have printed our design, and I want to show you this. So remember when I took you through and I told you to make sure that you choose photo on matte paper instead of just letting it go to default? This is why. So I'm not sure how well you can tell this on camera, but anytime you sublimate something, the colors are muted. So they're going to be more muted on the sheet than they are on the computer. And then the heat brings that color out onto your substrate, whatever you're putting that color onto. But if you print it with the default settings of your printer, this is what you're going to get. If you can't see this on camera, like this is really poor quality. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, there is very little detail. There is a lot less color because your printer is saving ink. It thinks it's printing out a report or something like that. So if you want photo quality, you have to make sure that you use that setting. Okay, so now that we have our printout, what we want to do is we want to trim each of these out. Now you can use a pair of scissors for this kind of thing, but I love my paper trimmer. So for those of you who craft with me, you know how I am. And I'm actually going to go a little bit outside of the design, just slightly. Oh, that might have been a little more than I meant to. Let's just go a little. So I did do a bleed on this, and I did it because I wanted to be able to make sure that my design went all the way to the edge. So, but what I don't want is I don't want it so large on either side that I can't see the center point of my design. So it's a little more difficult to see when you flip it over. So when it's raised, I can kind of see like the center point of my design. But once you place that down onto your element, you just want to make sure that everything is centered. So I do want to leave just a very small margin. Yes, more like that. And so the nice thing about the paper trimmer is it's going to allow me to do that. So that's perfect. Now that we have these cut out, what we want to do next is we want to take our phone case and we want to remove the protective layering on top of this piece of metal. And the thing is about this, guys, is you don't want to scratch it, and you want to keep your fingers off of it as much as possible. And then we do want to clean it with something. And so I'm going to be using my lint roller just to make sure nothing, I know the film is coming off of it, but a lot of times they'll have they'll have static electricity, and so little fuzz and stuff like that will want to attach itself to it, and so we want to make sure that that does not happen so that we are not ruining our design. And you kind of have to get underneath it. So Just kind of pull that away. And again, try to keep your fingerprints off of it. We'll put that out of the way. Okay, so then I'm just going to take my lint roller, lint roll. You can hear it. Just like making sure everything is perfect. Okay, so now what we want to do is I want to move my EasyPress into place, and we are going to start with our monogram. I have to say I'm really excited about making this. I've been wanting to make them for some time. We're going to take this design and then I'm going to lay it down and then just turn it over so that you can kind of see the design out the side edges. Since we have that monogram right there, I just want to make sure that it is in the correct location. And so we have that little extra that we did for the bleed. Okay, and so now what we want to do is take a little heat tape, and I neglected to put this you know, on the list basically of the items that we would be using today. But heat tape is absolutely necessary. And another reason that you need that bleed is so you have that little bit of space to put the tape onto your design. Okay, so now what we can do is we are going to use, so if you've done infusible ink before or if you've done a sublimation before, you know that we use butcher paper to protect because especially here, so you see there's going to be an area that's not covered that's going to want that ink to bleed onto. So what I would suggest doing is taking a piece of cardstock or thicker paper. If you only have the thin printer paper, maybe use a couple of sheets, and so that's going to protect your mat. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn it upside down and we're going to be applying the heat to this. I'm going to do one underneath and then two on top. Do not reuse this paper, okay? Because little bits of ink that you don't maybe even see are there, do not reuse the paper because it could destroy the, you know, the project that you're currently working on. So just make sure that you use fresh paper each time. And butcher paper is really inexpensive at the grocery. Okay, and so now we just want to overlay that with two more pieces. Okay, and now we're ready to apply our heat, which is our EasyPress. Make sure that when you lay it down, you do not allow it to move, which is what just happened to me, because it will create a ghosting. We're gonna go ahead and do this and just see if it ghosted. I'm just gonna have to make it again, but that is a key of what not to do. My cord is really heavy, and so it pulled, and so I just don't want to look at it just yet. I'm going to just take a chance that it didn't ghost. But guys, that's crafting. Sometimes things don't go perfectly, and that's okay. Okay, and so now it's done, and we're going to lift straight up. So you can see, I hope you can see on camera, the paper is slightly discolored, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to give it a minute because this is metal. We're going to give it a minute and see, let it cool down a little bit, and then we'll peel it off and we'll see if we got that ghosting effect. I'm really hoping that we didn't, but in either case, guys, that is a definite don't let that happen to you. My cord was really heavy hanging off of the table, and so when I set down my EasyPress, it pulled. So I need to do something. I need to get like a little clamp or something and clamp my cord so that never happens again. But that's just the way crafting goes sometimes, right? Okay, so let's see our fate. So I'm gonna pull this away, and so you can see some of the ink definitely was on that, on both layers. And so you might even want to do 3 layers, especially on that little area to the side. Okay, and so now we've got this one. So it did not go through on the bottom. It did, however, well, I take that back. There's a tiny little bit of ink on my sheet, and we definitely don't want to get that on our mat. Okay, and so now what we can do is turn that over. So you see there's a lot of ink on this piece. Okay, so now what we need to do is take our heat resistant tape off and see how it went. Okay. Oh wow, guys, are we lucky or what? Or am I lucky? It did not ghost, which I am so excited about because look how beautiful that turned out. So I just have to take off my heat tape off the back, And then we will move on to our second design, which is a photograph. Okay, so here we go with round 2, and this time we're using a photo. And so guys, please do not tell my boys that I used their photo for a video, because they are really private kiddos. You know, they're really humble, which I'm very proud of. And so we don't do a lot, we don't post a lot on social media or anything like that. But basically what I want to do is I want to put this photograph onto this. So we're going to do it just like last time. We're going to flip that over, and we'll move this out of the way. Protective covering that we need to go ahead and remove. So we'll pull that off. And then we're just going to use the lint roller and just make sure that there is nothing on it. Okay, and so now that we have that done, now we'll take our heat tape and put our design in place. I'm just going to use my nail to move that across. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have the lettering. I want to make sure that I have both of their faces, and I want to make sure that we don't have any white. So I want to make sure that I have white all the way around. You may notice that I changed this photograph like at the last minute. I decided that I really wanted to go with a black and white without any color. I just wanted to do something really kind of boyish, right? I wanted it to look very manly, so this would be a great craft for like my husband. I could make him a phone case, and I am a lover of all things black and white, so if you guys craft with me ever, I adore color for sure, but I am a big fan of black and white. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so we're really secure. Now this time, I'm going to use 2 sheets of paper, one below and one above, because I did see a little bit of bleed, and I just want to make sure that I am protecting my mat and that I am protecting my machine. So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab this and flip it over. I'm going to put a piece of butcher paper behind it. Make sure I get that underneath. Whoops, there we go. Underneath, and then I'm going to put 2 on top, and then I'm going to finish with another piece of cardstock, and so that's going to be our order. So I'm going to just make sure everything is secure. Lay down my doubled butcher paper because I don't have another sheet handy, and then we will lay that on top, and then I'm just going to pick up my Cricut EasyPress and set it straight down. And this time I did actually attach my cord, so I don't have to worry about it pulling. And so now we do 60 seconds at 400 degrees. Okay, and so we're done. So we're going to pick it straight up and set it back on its cradle. And then you probably can't see this on camera, but there is steam rising off of this. So I just want to give that a few minutes to cool. And by the way, guys, in my craft room, I have a ceiling fan and I open my windows. Just make sure when you're doing sublimation that you are well ventilated. Even infusible ink, well ventilated. Just make sure that you can breathe easy, right? Okay, so here we go. So we're pulling away all of the layers, and so you can see the heat, and you can also see the ink. Look at that, it did come all the way through. Wow. I'm nervous, I'm excited. This is my first photograph, and of course it's of my boys, so I want it to be amazing. So we'll take that heat tape off. That the top. Oh guys, how neat is that? It looks, because I turned it black and white, it looks you know, like old and retro, which is so cool. So now that we have both of our designs, the final step that we need to do is we take our case, and then there is a covering there that covers just a sticky backer. We just want to peel that off. And then we pick up our design and we place it. I'm just going to move these guys out of the way for a second. I want to be steady. And we put it in place, and it is as simple as that. Perfect. I love this design and I love that monogram. It's gonna be so cute. Okay, so then we'll do one more. Simply peel that away and then attach your photograph. And now guys, we could have done this photograph in full color. I just chose to do it in black and white, so it was a little, you know, retro looking, but I think it turned out amazing. Okay, so I hope you thought that was fun. I hope you thought that sublimation was easy and creative. I just love what you can do with it. And so if you've not already, please hit that subscribe button and I'll be doing a lot more of these kind of videos. By the way, everything that we use here today is down in the description below. And if you have absolutely any questions, comments, love sweet notes and things, but if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below because I want to help you craft. I want to make it easier on you and make sure that you have everything answered so that you can craft with confidence and have fun. Okay guys, I will see you next time.